Yeah, sure. I mean, just at an overhead perspective, we have the 118th World Series this year. And the number 118 is something I have previously discussed as being connected to the moon landing. And the reason this is because the Christopher Cornell and Chester Bennington event. So Chris Cornell was born on July 20th, which is the date of the moon landing 5 years later. And then Chester Bennington, who sang at Cornell's funeral, died on July 20th. And this was also connected to the big American eclipse in 2017. So we have Chester Bennington died 33 days before the eclipse, and the name Chester is 33. And Chris Cornell died 3 months, 3 days before that same eclipse, and the name Chris is 33. He's also got the CC initials, just like Chester Charles, CC, 33. So that was a big part of it, right? But the other part was the moon landing riddle. So, him dead on his friend's birthday, which was the date of the moon landing. And if you measure from his birthday, which, look at that, it's also the 20th, right? Just like July 20th. So if you measure from Chester Bennington's birthday, 3/20/76, to Chris Cornell's birthday, 7/20 of 64, you get 11 years and 8 months, 118. Well, look at this, moon landing, 118. So here we are in the 118th World Series, and the Houston Astros, the team named after NASA, the Johnson Space Center, which is down in Houston there. Here come the Astros winning the World Series. And so Houston...
Is it Astros like astrology by any chance?
I'm not totally sure what it's short for. That's a good question. Yeah. I always thought it was connected to the Astro Dome. Like, that's kind of why they named him the team after the dome, maybe. I'm not sure. But, clearly there's the symbolism of space travel going on there. So the World Series starts one day after Elon Musk finalizes his deal for Twitter. And on game one of the World Series, Twitter was 6,066 days old.
Oh,
now,
right.
666 is the number connected to NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, 666, just like fake moon landing, just like Apollo, all 666. And notice how this year's World Series ended at the unusually late date of November 5th because of the strike. Well, the strike was just as scripted as anything that goes on in the news. The reason it ended so late is because the first moon landing occurred on a date with 115 numerology, just like November 5th, the date that the Astros won the World Series. So Houston, right? That's the big theme here. Houston winning. So it's all about Houston. Now, I don't know if you remember, but back in 2012, pop star Whitney Houston was found dead in a bathtub in a very unusual story. Not sure how many people really die in their bathtubs, but that was something that was reported in 2012. Well, the same day that the Astros won the World Series, we learned that pop star Aaron Carter was found dead in his bathtub. Again, what are the odds of this? The same exact day, November 5th. And the word bathtub equals 115, just like the date of the moon landing, 115. The word killing, also 115. In fact, this 118 connecting to the Astros, this is also the gematria of death and homicide in Latin, where death is 118, so is homicide. So you have this convergence.
Whitney Houston also died on November 5th?
No, but she died on 2/11, which I can talk about also.
Okay.
But we get this, we get this connection with 115 and 118, and those are already two significant numbers of death. So it's no surprise we got, someone dying on that same day. Whitney Elizabeth Houston, her name sums to 115 and 304. 34 was the age that Aaron Carter was when he died. And then Whitney Houston's daughter also found in a bathtub unconscious, which led to her death in a coma several months later. So it wasn't just Whitney Houston, her daughter also. And her daughter was born on 3/4, just like the word murder.
Wow.
So the number 33 was also very big because pop star equals 33, and pop star has matching gematria with Aaron Carter. Well, this pop star, Aaron Carter, died 33 days before his birthday. Bobby Brown, Whitney's daughter, died 33 weeks after his birthday. And when Whitney died, it was 66 days after his birthday. And 66 is the value of 33. Also 33 times 2. And then Whitney Houston, her name is 6 times 6 times 6, 216.
Oh shit.
And she died on 211, and 666 equals 211. The big thing with Aaron Carter was also the Disney company. So the number 66 and 666 are huge to Disney. They actually have the number 666 coded into their logo. And Walt Disney died in the year 66. So 666 is the 36th triangular number. And if you add the digits in 666, it sums to 18. The name Aaron Charles Carter equals 306 and 180. And Disney was 36,180 days old when he died. So a lot of 666 with the Astros World Series. And then we also got the shooting of rapper Takeoff in Houston during the World Series. And Takeoff had one solo album during his music career. And that album was called The Last Rocket. And he dies in Houston, home of the Rockets, the big NASA territory. Takeoff's career started in 2008. He died at the age of 28. Takeoff equals 28. Rockets is 28. Their first big single, Versace, equals 28.
Oh, wow.
And he died 208 weeks after his album. The word kill equals 28 and 17. The Rockets fell to 1-7 on the date he died. The number of points in the game connects to his hometown. The group Migos was from Lawrenceville. Something else that stood out is that while all this was going on, remember Elon Musk bought Twitter, right? Twitter had that 666 connection to the World Series. Well, during the World Series, the same day that Takeoff was killed, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy rocket for the first time in 3 years, the world's most powerful rocket. Also, NASA has been working on launching its Artemis rocket, which is going to take people back to the moon, allegedly. All of this happening this week, while North Korea is also launching rockets over South Korea and Japan. Let's see. And this was all connected to Versace. So, I know you guys are into music. I try to be open-minded and listen to this music, you know, whenever like a rapper dies, just to see. Because sometimes I'm surprised and it's actually decent music. It was not the case here with Migos, unfortunately. But this song Versace that came out, their big first single, Gianni Versace, who was assassinated back in 97, would have been exactly 911 months old on the date that Takeoff died.
Oh,
9/11, the value of ritual human sacrifice. 9/11 is also Versace flipped upside down. And if you measure from Versace to Takeoff's death, it was 9 years, 116 days. So you get the 9/11 and the 116. And there was a hell of a lot more there too.
my God.
What are the odds that all of these things, happened in Houston, right? I mean, Takeoff was from Atlanta, so for him to be in Houston and just happen to die there, all while these rockets are getting launched. And then remember this crowd crush thing too. I didn't even mention that. You know, a big part of the reason I was on your podcast to begin with was to talk about this Astro World stampede, where all these people died. And I don't know if you remember, but just a week ago, we had a big news story out of South Korea where there was a big crowd crush that allegedly killed 150 people. And that crowd crush was in Seoul, and it was for Halloween, which is All Souls Day. And then a week later, on the anniversary of the crowd crush in Houston, the Houston Astros win the World Series. And I guess what I definitely should go over is the number 666 here. So Twitter had the 666 in its age. Migos lost one of its 3 rap members, meaning there's only 2 left. 2 divided by 3 is 666. Remember the guy who ran Astro World was Travis Scott. His real name equals 1666. His birthday was on the same anniversary of the Church of Satan. The Church of Satan was 666 months and 6 days old for the Astro World Stampede, whereas Travis Scott was 366 months and 6 days old. The Stampede was also 20,666 days after the Astrodome opened. And there was a bizarre news story that came out saying that employees at the festival were instructed to call dead bodies Smurfs. And when you measure from the debut of the Smurfs to the Stampede, it was 14,666 days. So if you go forward, well, okay, let's talk about Astro World, right? The album this whole festival was named after. That album came out on the 3rd of August in 2018. So think about how that's written internationally, 3/8/2018. In Hebrew Gematria, the word moon equals 38 and 218. And then the Houston Astros played 666 games.
Can you not do that right now? Is that possible?
To get to the World Series. And this was the 61st season of the Houston Astros. The 61st prime number is the Gematria of the moon and 666.
Wow.
Let me walk out of here for 1 second. Please continue. I'm so sorry, but I need to make sure that this does not happen next to me.
Mm-hmm. Keep going, Derek.
Looks like someone's grilling or something over there. But yeah, so the number 666 in numerology is strongly connected to 111. And this is simply because the Sumerian cipher multiplies ordinal by 6. So any number or any sum of 111 will also give you a 666.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more reasons for this too, but when the Astros first won the World Series in 2017, they did so on November 1st, 11/1. And when you write out 666 in ordinal, you get 275. Well, if you go forward 275 days from 11/1, the Houston Astros played the Dodgers again. And it was the same date that Astro World came out. And it was both teams' 111th game. 275 days after 11/1. And remember, this only happens like once every 8 years or so, where the Astros travel to LA to play the Dodgers because they're in opposite leagues. So this was really, really unlikely to happen. And think about where LA plays. The Dodgers, they play very close to Hollywood. And what do the Red Hot Chili Peppers say? Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. So here the Houston Astros win the World Series in Hollywood. And then they go back to Hollywood for this ritualistic game where they win 2-1 on the same day that Astro World came out. And 2-1 is the Gematria of Moon, 21 and 210. And who wins that game? Justin Verlander. Justin equals 21. He was 201 days before his birthday. He picked up his 210th career victory. And his next birthday would have been his 36th. Well, the moon equals 36. 36 connects to 666. 666 even gives us 201, right? So you have all these alignments. This is the thing. It's like they do drop clues for people betting on sports. Like they do try to tell people who's winning. The problem is the code is so heavy and like so intertwined with so many other things that are going on. It is difficult to pick this out before it happens. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to a lot of people about numerology frequently, and only the very day of Game 6 of the World Series did I find out this was the Astros' 666 game since Astro World. So, you know, there's multiple riddles going on, and I strongly believe that if too much money goes on one riddle, Vegas will pull the trigger, flip the switch, and have the other team win. I mean, that's my theory, because I don't think Vegas made sports gambling legal so that all of us can get rich on sports. That would melt the economy. That's not how things work. Makes a lot more sense to me that the reason they made it legal is because now they have it fully under grasp. They're comfortable with where they are rigging games. And now they